Hi, I'm Two-Siders. Welcome back to Against the Storm. In this video, I will show you the 5 best cornerstones in the game right now, and around 4 extra honorable mentions. Obviously, this is a very decisive topic. I would be very surprised if this video got even 1,000 views, but if it did and you have a different opinion regarding the cornerstones, let me know in the comment section below. I have not yet completed the Queen's Hand trial. I only just beat Prestige 17, but I thought it would be interesting to remake this video in the future once I've improved as a player. Like the video if you did, press the subscribe button if you'd like to see more Against the Storm content. I have a stern opinion about the best 3 cornerstones in the game, but number 5 and number 4 were extremely difficult to pick, so I'll share some honorable mentions after pick number 4. Number 5 is Smugglers Visit. It's very simple in concept. You can pick any building blueprint from all choices. A lot of people might say that this is the best cornerstone in the entire game, but Smugglers Visit is in a weird place where it's the most useful, I think, in the middle of the game. At the very early game and also at the very end, you don't really care about which building blueprints you get. The ball is still up in the air whether you'll get the exact blueprint that you want soon or not. You can use Smuggler's Visit to get a gathering camp, a large one, in case you found a resource node that you don't yet have the blueprint for. Or you can pick a service building, the exact one that you want. But otherwise, I think for production buildings, it's not super useful. I think people overrate 3-star recipes. For most cases, a 2-star recipe or even just a 1-star recipe is good enough. So I've placed Smuggler's Visit in the number 5 spot. At number 4, on your screen you can see all these cornerstones that have anything to do with trading. However, the one I picked for the number 4 spot is Protected Trade. This is actually a cornerstone I never picked until recently, when we reforged the Cobalt Seal. And the reason why I didn't pick it for the longest time, and this might be a reason why you haven't picked it, is because I misunderstood the negative effect. But let's start from the beginning. Protected Trade will reduce hostility by 15 points for every 30 amber sold as goods. However, complex foods will grant 1 less resolve point. Now, for whatever reason, I used to think that all food items gave exactly 2 resolve, every single one of them. However, that's not true. Different food items give different max resolve. So very simple to create food items, such as porridge, would only give a maximum 4 resolve, whereas pickled goods would give +8. I'm not even sure why. It's not that difficult to create pickled goods. You do need to make the container though. With that being said, if you think about it, pickled goods would still give 7 resolve points, so you don't really lose anything there. And even if you have something like lizards, the foodiest of all foodie races right now at the making of this video, you would only lose a maximum of 4 resolve points, and that is even if you feed them all 4 of these food items. So the drawback is not that bad, but it's mainly for the positive effect. You are probably going to be trading anyways, maybe not every single settlement and not that much, but it's not super difficult to make a trading settlement. It's probably one of the best ways to win in this game, even after the trade nerfs to the guild house. But then again, I would still call this a somewhat balanced cornerstone. 30 amber is kind of a lot. 15 hostility is not that much. It's basically half a year. Hostility increases by, I think, 30 every year. And of course, there are some honorable mentions that I'd like to mention next. I have 4 honorable mentions that might as well be in the number 5 with number 4 spot. It doesn't really matter. Peasant Supplies is a really simple cornerstone by design. You receive 3 packs of provisions for every new villager. You might call it weak or mediocre, but matter of the fact is, we all pick this all the time. It's one of the more consistent cornerstones. It basically means you never have to worry about provisions for those trade routes ever again. However, there is one cornerstone that is even better than peasant supplies, I think, that we'll talk about later. There are many woodcutter themed cornerstones. This one, woodcutter sprayer, pretty much just doubles wood production. I was also going to mention flame amulets that basically halves the hostility generated from woodcutters, but I think woodcutter sprayer is much better. For instance, you can generate a bunch of wood in the drizzle and the clearance season and just deassign woodcutters, whereas with flame amulets you would have to have double the amount of woodcutter camps to achieve the same things as the prayer. Now, losing all of anything is a really huge negative drawback, and you might not pick this cornerstone if you are in the late game and you already have, for instance, mine set up. But even in many cases, when I picked this, I just didn't have any fuel, even in the late game. So woodcutter sprayer answered our prayers. I was gonna put back to nature at maybe the number 5 spot. I really like this because farms are really powerful. Just a really consistent way to win in this game. It increases farm yields by 100%, so it doubles it, but you lose all stored food, cooked and raw, upon choosing this cornerstone. It's definitely much worse losing all of your food rather than losing all of your wood, but it's surprisingly easy to mitigate this super negative drawback. Pretty much all you need is one camp in the early to mid game, and if you can last a year, then it's already so worth it. I put back to nature in the honorable mentions because marshlands, you might not even find any fertile soil, and even if you have a single fertile soil and farm combo, is it really enough to justify back to nature? By the way, hunter-gatherers is also another great cornerstones. It's basically the opposite of back to nature, but most of the times I cannot justify losing those farm yields. And the final honorable mention is cannibalism. Every time a villager leaves or dies, you gain 40 meat. I'm not even sure if cannibalism is better or blood price contract getting 10 amber, but any cornerstone or perk that gives you stuff on villager leaving is just a safe bet. Cornerstones that help you win if you are losing are much better than those win more cornerstones that only help you if you are already winning. You almost definitely are going to lose villagers in every single settlement, and getting 40 of anything is pretty insane. But getting 40 meat, a raw food item that is so hard to reproduce, makes it even better. Also, sorry for the bad pun, but the flavor of this cornerstone is just really funny. At the number 3 spot, we have Fungal Guide. Every 25 times you produce mushrooms, it increases mushroom production by +1. Now, there are 2 other cornerstones that are similar to Fungal Guide, one for grain and another one for meat, but Fungal Guide seems to be the most potent of these 3. In fact, I would be bold enough to say that grain bags is just mediocre, because it seems like you don't produce grain that often even if you have a farm. Rather, you produce a lot of grain few times. And if you read the description carefully, it's not 25 mushrooms you have to produce, it's the item 25 times. So you want to gather or create through the greenhouse as quickly as possible, and it doesn't really matter how many you get. The main criticism against Fungal Guide is that it's difficult to justify to make it work in every settlement. I find, however, that even if you don't have mushrooms on the map that you are currently playing, or you don't have the large herbalist camp for the large mushrooms, or if you haven't found any mushrooms at all on the map, even if it does exist, it's fairly reliable to make it work. Yes, it's best if you have found mushrooms already, if you have a herbalist camp. If you are playing on the marshland biome, cutting into a forbidden glade has a 1 out of 3 chance to give you a giant proto-fungus. However, the main way to make Fungal Guide work is of course the greenhouse. The greenhouse can be found fairly often at traders, but either way, if you have a single farm building, it is very likely that you'll find something like mushroom seedlings, so that any and all of your farms can actually produce mushrooms. The marshland biome is also one where woodcutters can produce mushrooms from cutting out trees. And if you want to watch a fun video where we found a giant proto-fungus and we had plus 17 to fungal guide, check out my fungal town video. Of course, we talked about peasant supplies, but at the number 2 spot, the super insane epic cornerstone we have is Titan belts. If you haven't picked this one before, it's probably because you don't realize how insane some of this wording is in the description. The travel cost on trade routes is reduced by 1. However, the effect scales along with the quantity of goods exported. So for instance, if you have a trade option for selling 8 grain and it costs 1 provision, normally it would cost you 5 provisions to sell the maximum 5 times 8, so 40 grain. However, with Titan belts, it will actually cost you 0 provisions to sell 8 grain and 0 provisions to sell 40 grain. So this cornerstone basically removes the cost of provisions for around probably like 25% of all trades, any trades that just have a 1 provision cost. Of course, it will also reduce it by 1 even if it costs more than 1. So if it costs 5 provisions to sell 1 big thing, or 25, it would reduce it down to 21. But the main way to use this is with those 1 cost trade routes. In case you don't think this cornerstone is insane, it might be because you are playing on an easier difficulty level. Between Prestige 5 and 10, there's a Prestige level that increases the cost of traders. Selling anything to a trader directly, you will get half the amount of amber or other resources. And also, perks, cornerstones, and building blueprints at the trader cost twice as much. So if you love buying perks and cornerstones and traders, they technically cost 4 times as much as before that prestige level. So the only way to make money really is just through trade routes. And getting cornerstones such as Titan belts or peasant supplies becomes a paramount importance. At the number 1 spot, in my honest opinion, the best cornerstone in the entire game is Ancient Pact or Mist Piercers. I didn't want to be lame and put these as number 2 and number 1, so let's talk about them together in the number 1 spot. These cornerstones reveal the contents of all glades. That means you can hover over the skull icons of glades and it will actually list out everything that is in that glade, from the exact glade event, all the resources, even if it has fertile soil or abandoned caches, and even the salvageable buildings. The only reason you don't pick this cornerstone is because you don't know how broken this is. The reason I don't pick this cornerstone is because I don't like picking broken cornerstones, the same ones all the time, every time. We are not the same. Like, if there was some sort of a PvP or competitive event for Against the Storm, I'm pretty sure pro players would pick these all the time. It really hurts my head to calculate which glade I should cut into when I pick these cornerstones, so I just don't pick them. Once you pick this up, you can just calculate, okay, this glade at the bottom left corner has this salvageable building, so I just got these blueprints and I shouldn't pick those ones. Of course, you can exactly calculate which glade to cut into if you are looking for fertile soil, which is I guess the main way people use this cornerstone. But even geysers and salvageable buildings is just the cherry on the top. Finally, a way to make those Explorer's Lodge random as hell service building buffs worth it. Because you can pick which glade to cut into for salvaged buildings. It technically gives you like 3 blueprint options, and the drawbacks are really negligible. I never actually noticed this until at this point, but Ancient Pact, of course it kills 1 villager when you cut into a dangerous or forbidden glade. I thought this was all glades, but the other version, Mist Piercers, kills a villager no matter if you cut into a big or small glade. Or, sorry, no matter if you cut into a big or small glade, it will increase the Queen's Impatience by half. I'm not really sure which one of these two is better. There are definitely cases to be made for or against for both of these. I think most of the times I would pick Ancient Pact, because even if I lost a single game because of Mist Piercers, I would probably never pick it again. Just from the pure shame I felt. However, pro players would probably pick Mist Piercers because losing a villager loses you production speed technically. So anyways, here are my top 5 Cornerstone picks for you guys and some honorable mentions. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more Against the Storm content, comment below your favorite picks, and in case you are a new player, check out my 60 tips for Against the Storm that will teach you how to play probably pretty well until the prestige levels. This has been Two Siders. See you later.